Hello, everyone. My name is Dana Foley. I'm currently working on my master's in sociology at Arizona State University, and today I'll be talking to you about the issue of cyberbullying. So let's get started. I'm sure that we are all very well versed on the issue of bullying. Some of you listening may have dealt with being bullied in the past yourself, or maybe you may have witnessed it happen, but I'm sure you have all at least heard stories about bullying, whether it be from a friend, a family member, a student, or even in the news. However, it is important to recognize that times are changing and problems are evolving, so approaches to problems need to change and evolve as well. We have become so accustomed to the idea that bullying is strictly a face-to-face activity that it seems cyberbullying may have caught us off guard a bit. We have relied on school staff and administration to handle the bullying problem, but with this new kind of bullying, the school can no longer combat the problem on their own. The age-old problem of bullying has come to expand in nature over the past decade. With recent advancements in technology and the popularity growth of the internet, adolescents are spending a lot of their time and doing a large amount of their communicating online. Back in the day, when the final school bell rang, the bullies went to their home and the victims went to theirs. Our homes used to be our safe places. Unfortunately, with the emergence of cyberbullying, victims no longer have the relief that home used to provide them with. Today, a bully has the opportunity to follow their victims home without ever physically stepping foot inside. I, like I'm sure many of you, was one of the lucky ones. I made it through school before the internet really took off. If I was having a problem at school with another student, I didn't care that much because at the end of the day, I went my way and they went theirs. With cyberbullying, adolescents are finding it harder to escape the reach of bullies, which makes it much more harmful than traditional bullying. Right now, adolescents are the internet. They not only use it the most, but they understand it the most as well. Since adolescents are the main users of the internet, smartphone applications and social media sites are created with them in mind. Therefore, parents are deterred from using such applications and websites and are unable to adequately monitor their children's online behavior. So, what is it about the internet that has captured adolescents' attention? It seems that adolescents are particularly drawn to the anonymous feature the internet provides. Anyone, and I mean anyone, can sit behind a computer, tablet, or smartphone, log on to the internet, and be whoever they want. This aspect of the internet makes it so the bully is not able to visually observe the pain and hurt that is being inflicted on the victim, which makes it that much easier to continue the cruel behavior. At least with traditional face-to-face bullying, there was that chance, a glimmer of a chance, for the bully to see their victim in pain, the suffering firsthand, and hopefully stop the negative behavior before it went too far, before it became a daily occurrence, and before the victim could start to experience the negative effects of bullying that I will talk about shortly. Currently, cyberbullying begins in elementary school, hits the highest point in middle school, and then decreases throughout high school. However, it has been predicted that cyberbullying will start to affect students at younger ages as time goes on and technology becomes more advanced. Many of you probably know a toddler who can navigate a tablet better than an adult. I know I have seen plenty of strollers rolling by me with infants using tablets or their parents' smartphones. These kids now have such powerful technology at their fingertips from such a young age. So it's no wonder we will begin to see cyberbullying starting at younger ages. Gender has also been found to be a distinguishing feature when it comes to bullying. Male students are most often face-to-face bullies, while girls are most often cyberbullies. So it is good to know so we can be even more proactive in monitoring female students' online activity. This information is helpful. It helps us know what ages and genders are more so affected by cyberbullying than others. It's also more so important to note that all students, all genders, at different ages, in different grade levels, have the potential to fall victim to bullying and cyberbullying, and an equal amount of potential to become the bully. Everyone involved in bullying, whether it be the victim or the bully themselves, are affected negatively by bullying. Even the school environment as a whole can be negatively affected by the issue of bullying and cyberbullying. Adolescence is a very influential time. Young students absorb the negativity surrounding them, and it affects their lives greatly. Victims of different types of bullying have been found to decline in academic performance and suffer from mental health issues such as depression. Social acceptance is important to everyone at any age. It's important to me right now, as I'm sure it is for most, if not all, of you listening. We all just want to feel as though we belong and our peers like us. Cyberbullying makes victims feel alone. It makes them feel hopeless. They convince themselves that everyone feels the same way towards them as their bully does, that no one will understand what they're going through, and that they have nowhere to turn. Sadly, some victims may see suicide as their only escape from the relentless harassment and embarrassment. We will return to that point in the next slide. Believe it or not, we should be concerned about bullies as well. Students who bully others are at an increased risk for future delinquent behaviors. When someone is labeled a bully, it is very easy for them to fall into a pattern of negative behavior and disregard for others' feelings. Also, as I mentioned at the beginning of the slide, the overall school environment is of particular concern. Bullying and cyberbullying make students afraid to go to school. Even if a student has not experienced bullying firsthand, the fear of encountering a bully consumes them. Bullying has the potential to become a scary cycle. In search of payback, the victim may become the bully and find their own victim to take their anger and sadness out on. So it becomes this never-ending cycle where a bully picks on a victim, and then that victim finds their own victim to pick on, making them the bully now, and then their victim does the same. And it just gets out of hand, and it becomes very difficult to stop the cycle and cyberbullying as a whole. I brought up at the beginning of this presentation that we all have most likely heard a story about bullying in the news. All too often, our news outlets are filled with stories about young people who took their own lives following encounters with bullies. One story in particular has stayed with me throughout the years. I remember reading about Rebecca Sedgwick, a 12-year-old girl from Florida, back in 2013 when her death shook the nation. In the couple of years leading up to her death, Rebecca experienced face-to-face bullying as well as a tremendous amount of cyberbullying. Rebecca was often told by her classmates, two in particular, that her physical appearance was unappealing, that no one liked her, and no one would miss her if she died. She was even instructed to kill herself and told how to do it, such as drinking bleach. After about a year of relentless bullying and cyberbullying, Rebecca left her school and began homeschooling in hopes that she could escape the cruelty of her classmates. Unfortunately, over the year she was homeschooled, the cyberbullying continued, and Rebecca was running out of options. In September of 2013, Rebecca Sedgwick jumped from the top of a local cement plant building to her death. Now, not all cyberbullying situations will end in such tragic circumstances, although many actually do. With Rebecca's story, I'm trying to get across the seriousness of cyberbullying and how trapped these victims truly feel. If leaving school completely and being homeschooled did not stop the bullies, that just goes to show you how relentless bullying has become since the emergence of the internet. Schools seem to be doing what they can to combat cyberbullying on their own. However, since almost all cyberbullying occurs off school grounds, but continues to affect students during school hours, school officials are struggling with how best to approach the problem. It's common for public schools to have anti-bullying programs in place for students to participate in. I know I recall frequently attending mandatory anti-bullying assemblies throughout elementary school, middle school, and even high school as well. Some schools have their students sign a form that states their understanding of school policies regarding proper internet use and the school's no tolerance policy for all types of bullying. It is also common for schools to place restrictions on cell phone or smartphone use during school hours. Unfortunately, despite school restrictions and efforts to educate students on the seriousness and dangers of bullying and cyberbullying, the problem persists. Over a third of students 10 to 15 years old report they have experienced harassment online. This already high number is most likely a low estimate due to a large amount of cyberbullying cases going unreported. In order to truly eliminate the current cyberbullying problem, there needs to be equal effort coming from school staff and students' parents or guardians. Students are not the only ones who need lessons on cyberbullying. School programs specifically geared towards parents need to be put in place to educate parents on the dangers of cyberbullying and the role they need to play in their children's internet use. Parents tend to believe that their involvement in their children's lives ceases to have an effect after elementary years. Because of this, parents may require a little push from school staff to continue their involvement into the middle and high school years. So, I am proposing that schools develop a parent program focused on cyberbullying. My suggestion would be that these programs be developed in middle school since, as I said before, that's the time that the occurrence of cyberbullying is at its peak. However, I do recognize that each school district's administration knows their schools best, so if they prefer to start the parent program in elementary school or hold off until high school, that would be their decision to make based on the needs of their students. Now I'll discuss what the program will entail. The Parent Cyberbullying Program will give lessons to parents on how to navigate a computer and the internet. The program will also instruct parents on how to properly monitor their children's internet use by staying up to date on the new popular social media sites and providing parents with important tips such as keeping computers in busy areas of the house, like the kitchen or the family room. This way, it will be that much easier for parents to monitor their children's computer use. Lastly, the parent program needs to update parents on where their concerns should be. I'm sure we can all recall our parents and other family members warning us about the dangers of talking to people we don't know on the street or in other public places. Once the internet became popular, parents continued to use that same speech, but they would also touch on how dangerous it is to speak with strangers over the internet. Parents are consistently warning their children about stranger danger and checking their devices for contact by strangers, but what they fail to recognize is that nowadays the negativity their children receive on the internet will most often come from someone these kids know. Parents are also overly focused on making sure that their children do not encounter inappropriate or dangerous content that they overlook the possibility that their kids may be creating inappropriate or mean-spirited content directed towards others. I am currently working on fulfilling my 40-hour fieldwork requirement for my master's program at the Putnam County Youth Bureau. Put simply, the Putnam County Youth Bureau offers programs and services to kids and their families who live in Putnam County, which is my county. One of the programs that has really caught my attention and inspired my proposed solution to cyberbullying is the Pegasus program. The Pegasus program is a free program for children ages 6 to 12, accompanied by a family member, who have a parent or family member suffering from a drug or alcohol dependency. Now, I realize that drug and alcohol dependencies are a very different concept than cyberbullying, but the way the Pegasus program approaches the topic is what I found very inspiring. The Pegasus program meets every Thursday evening from 6 to 7:30, which is a perfect time because it's not right after school. The kids are able to go home, do some homework, wind down a bit, and then come to the program. They have pizza and drinks every night for the kids and their family members to eat, so the kids look forward to coming. Some even call it pizza night. Sometimes the kids and their family members are in different rooms, and sometimes, like when there's a guest speaker, the kids and family members are together in the same room. So far, I have been able to observe two guest speakers. One was a corrections officer, and the other was a Putnam County court judge who runs drug treatment court. Sitting in this room with these children who know so much about drugs and alcohol at such a young age was almost frightening. They know what alcohol is, they know what marijuana is, they know what oxycodone is, they know what heroin is, and they know what all these things do to you and how people use them. They know all these things because they have lived it. They have watched a family member suffer from an addiction to one or a few of these substances. The purpose of the Pegasus program is to facilitate conversations about drugs and alcohol between these children and their family member that accompanies them to the program. The kids learn about safe people, how their family member's addiction and behavior is not their fault, and the importance of making their own good decisions. The women who run the program start a conversation that then continues at home, and that is exactly what I would aim to do with the parent anti-bullying program I have proposed. An important area where my program would differ from the Pegasus program is that my main focus would be the parents, whereas their main focus was the kids. Students are already receiving education on bullying in school. It is usually part of the curriculum for health class, and most schools have bullying awareness weeks. I would want the parent anti-bullying program to mainly focus on getting the parents up to date with what their children already know. How to use a computer, how to access the internet and social media sites, and different types of bullying. After observing the Pegasus program, I have decided that including kids in the parent anti-bullying program would also be a good idea. I would have set dates that the students would attend with their parents, much like the Pegasus program. This way, the parent anti-bullying program could be more helpful in facilitating conversations between parents or guardians and their children about cyberbullying that would then hopefully continue on the car ride home and later on thereafter. On the days that just the parents come to the program, it is my hope that they will return home and speak to their kids about what they have learned at the program. But I think that having the kids there every once in a while will really help create conversation between the students and their parents or guardians about cyberbullying. In order to get and keep parents and guardians involved, the parent program must be accommodating to their busy lives. Paper notices and emails should be sent out to parents and guardians explaining what the program is and why it has come about. Also, the program should take place after work hours, once or twice a month at the very least. It is important for each school to schedule the program as they see fit. I would suggest a time similar to the Pegasus program, around 7:30 p.m., unless that conflicts with something else at the school. As I mentioned earlier, each district and even each school is different. The administration should schedule the program as they see fit for their students, parents, and guardians. For example, if an administration believes that it will be tough to get their students' parents to attend the parent anti-bullying program because they have so many other programs or school events to attend to, it may make more sense to piggyback the program onto something else, like PTA meetings. This way, the parents only have to come to school once and they can tackle more than one thing. For the time that the students are invited To accompany their parent or guardian to the meeting, I would suggest having a snack. The Pegasus program offered pizza and refreshments every meeting, and the kids really responded to that. After a long day at school, the last thing kids want to be doing is going to an anti-bullying program with their parents. It is important to make it so the students look forward to the program rather than dread it. If they show up with a bad attitude, they won't be as receptive to the information as they normally would be. Parental involvement in the classroom activities has been shown to benefit students, so getting parents involved in the fight against cyberbullying should prove to be beneficial to students in that area as well. Cyberbullying is subjecting students to feelings of fear and despair, which can lead to poor academic performance, decreased mental health, and increased risk of delinquent behaviors. School staff and parents need to come together in order to fight cyberbullying at school and from home. A parent cyberbullying program would allow parents and school staff members to learn from and teach one another the ins and outs of students' online exploration. Students deserve a safe learning environment free from fear, and together, parents and school staff can provide them with that and much more. Thank you all for listening.